We have finally arrived to the Snyder Cut. As you can see here, it's going to be another webcam review, and it just so happens my camera is at this ratio. There's no crappy green screen in the background. Let's just get straight into the review with how fitting this is, and I'm wearing a dark top. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I enjoyed watching this movie. I'm glad so many others did too. And I also doubt it was a case of me lowering my expectations and the movie exceeded them, unlike my past with Batman v Superman when I watched it in cinemas. Because after rewatching the Ultimate Cut, my expectations for this movie did lower a bit, but after watching the theatrical cut of Justice League, it has risen. Like, no way it can be as bad as that. And also as bad as Suicide Squad. So I felt like my chances of liking this movie and disliking this movie to be pretty balanced. I can confidently say that it is better than the theatrical cut. In fact, it solves a lot of the issues that the theatrical cut had. First, let's discuss the story. It is significantly better, but one of the negative things that people have pointed out is that it is 4 hours long. But in my defense for that, it is on a online streaming service, and Snyder has put the movie in different parts and sections. So if you need to take a break, you can take a break anytime. You can go have lunch, pee. There's nothing stopping you from just pausing the movie and enjoying it. You're not in the cinema. However, I will admit that the first 2 hours did feel kind of slow, and there are maybe a few unnecessary slow motion shots that dragged the pacing. Not as bad as the slow motion shots in the theatrical cut. Those were really annoying and unprofessional. But the slow motion shots here doesn't really bother me heavily. The narrative has a lot more context than the previous version. Like in the theatrical cut review, I was confused why Cyborg said that the mother box was activated when Superman died, but now they actually shown it being activated when he died in his apartment. Also, Wonder Woman probably finds out that Darkseid and Steppenwolf are invading Earth instead of looking at a TV and seeing a Greek building on fire, because that's freaking stupid. But I do have one negative point about the story that I am a bit confused about, but I'm going to put a spoiler warning right here. So skip to this time code. Again, it could be that I missed a crucial detail, but we were told that mother boxes were deactivated because Superman was on Earth, and that's why the parademons and Steppenwolf and Darkseid didn't come to Earth. What about before Superman came to Earth, though? Why weren't they activated then? Like, I'm glad they gave a proper reason why they're bringing him back to life, but I didn't understand what they were doing in that aspect. Also, they haven't fixed the plot hole of why the Atlanteans and the Amazonians didn't aid the Justice League during the Steppenwolf fight. Like, we were told that together they beat Darkseid, so why can't they do that again exactly? But other than that, the story was pretty decent, and there's a lot more jokes than Batman v Superman, and they weren't as unnecessary as Joss Whedon's version. So no cringy jokes about brunch or Batman saying he's definitely bleeding. I also want to add, Snyder's humor is actually pretty decent. No, it's not iconic or memorable, but it's definitely not bad. And I say it's not memorable and stuff, but Wonder Woman's epic new Scream theme, when she does anything, just became a meme. I see it a lot on my TikTok. In fact, one of my TikToks got 100,000 views because I made use of that meme. It is incredible. It's funny. Also, another nitpick. In my Batman v Superman review, I said that the R rating was super unnecessary for the Ultimate Cut, and I do think that this movie has a slightly more mature graphic content and swearing, and maybe deserves the R rating, as seen when, like, you see a villain get hurt or damaged, but you can actually see blood, and there's a few shots where they're swearing, but I don't see the actual point of it being R rated. Like, there are plenty of sophisticated movies that are PG-13, but I guess this is meant to be a Snyder thing. But overall, yeah, the story was good, and the pacing is pretty much a typical Snyder movie. Like, it can feel slow in the first half, but it picks up after the second half, but it doesn't really bother me that much. But let's move on to the characters. The characters are handled a lot better than they did in the Joss Whedon's version. One of the major criticisms that I have given to Batfleck is in his whole DCU career is that he comes across as kind of dumb. But now he actually comes across as much smarter. He actually feels like a team leader, like a planner. The Flash isn't as annoying as he was in the theatrical cut. He was the one thing I hated the most about the theatrical cut. But now, I do enjoy him a lot more. No, I don't love him still. He's not like as good as Grant Gustin in my opinion. But his scene with the Speed Force is a scene that in a movie that I constantly just keep rewatching. I enjoy that scene a lot. Aquaman feels less of a joke than he did before. He's actually a lot more serious. He feels like a Khal Drogo, not a guy who's lame and speaks to fish and is probably a surfer. Steppenwolf is cool, but to be honest, comes across as more badass than Darkseid. Like, the first time you see Darkseid, he gets his ass kicked by so many other people. But when you see Steppenwolf with his crazy armor, killing Amazonians and Atlanteans, and beating up the Justice League, I find it hard that he's Darkseid's bitch. And I don't think it's like a really great introduction to DC's super major bad guy. Also, Jared Leto's Joker also returns, and as much as I ripped on his look with the Suicide Squad and the set photo, I was kind of disappointed not to find Joker Jesus in the final product. Like, I hated the idea. I wanted to know how it would have been executed though. But yeah, Jared does a better performance than he did in Suicide Squad, and he does a card trick like a clown. Something that I like seeing the Joker do. But the best character in the movie, arguably, actually, maybe not even arguably, is Cyborg. He actually has a backstory. He has tear-jerky moments. He doesn't just randomly join the Justice League like he did in the theatrical cut. His interaction with his dad feels authentic, not unnatural as how I described it in my previous review. He has a whole complex story that was cut from the original. It was reported that Ray Fisher didn't want his story to be in a theatrical cut, which I understand, and it's probably for the best because I would imagine those scenes would have been reshot by Joss Whedon too. And speaking of cinematography, what the hell? Why did they reshoot so much of this movie for a theatrical cut? A lot of it was so unnecessary. It seems like Joss is really desperate to add really bad quips into this film, just like how much I hate Age of Ultron. Like that scene where Barry and Bruce meet for the first time. I was wondering how much of that was Snyder's and how much of that was Whedon's. And pretty much everything of that scene was Snyder's except for that brunch part. So you're telling me that he recalled Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck for that scene. They had to recreate that set just to insert that one line. And then they had to apply this logic to, according to Warner Brothers, for 75% of the movie. This just feels like more proof that WB is incapable of producing a cinematic universe if they're just letting their directors get out of hand with their work. And I hope to God they do not mess up the Mortal Kombat movie. I'm looking forward to that. I don't want them to mess that up. Yeah, like I said with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, I was totally fine with the tone and style of the cinematography. I was also fine with this whole aspect ratio, although it did feel unsettling at times. Whenever I looked away and then looked back, I would think that the movie is actually shrinking. But that could be me though. There is also a black and white version of this movie called Justice is Gray. To be honest, I'm not very intrigued by it because a lot of the movie already looks dark. And from the looks of the trailer, I only can find a few scenes that look pretty good, but that's about it. However, the CGI has definitely improved. So no creepy mustacheless Henry Cavill. Ezra Miller looks like he's actually running underground, although his hands are still doing this weird thing when he's running, not like a proper runner. But that being said, not everything about the CGI was great. There are moments where it looked obvious that their character was behind a green screen, and it seems as if WB haven't reached the stage with their technology where they can make the CGI really unnoticeable. For instance, there are a lot of times where I was surprised in a Marvel movie where the background was actually CGI. I thought they had an actual set behind him. And I can't remember the last time thinking that with a DC movie or any other movie before. And to be honest, I still think Steppenwolf looks like a weird cat. I think it's the eyes and the nose, and his mouth looks like Grumpy Cat. I can't entirely blame them for the special effects though. Because of the pandemic, and probably not a good idea to travel to different countries or states to get an authentic background. I mean, remember what happened to Robert Pattinson when he returned to the Batman set? He immediately got sick. So I pretty much get why there must have been a huge hassle with the production. But either way, I'm gonna give this movie an overall of a 4 out of 5. My opinion might change over time, but right now I'm in content with that score. And now I'm gonna think of the theatrical cut as a 2-hour bad teaser of the Snyder cut. I think it's only fair to think of it like that. That is it today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and we did it. We done all the DCEU movies that came out before Aquaman in chronological order. Thumbs up to you guys for watching all the reviews, and who knows, I'll probably just go back to making Easter egg videos, or I might just go on back to making random videos on my other channel. Thanks for watching, take care, and see ya next time.